Well, the US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton was in Afghanistan on the weekend, once again delivering the message that Pakistan needs to do more to stop terrorists filtering over its borders into Afghanistan. But America's been saying that for years, and nothing seems to change. Karl Eikenberry recently finished his term as the United States ambassador to Kabul. He's currently in Australia as a guest of the Centre for Arab and Islamic Studies at the Australian National University. A short time ago, he joined me from Canberra, and I began by asking him if, given the challenges in Afghanistan, it's realistic to expect a full handover to local security forces in 2014, as is planned.
I think it is, Leigh. There's very significant challenges that remain ahead. There's challenges in the continued development of the Afghan National Security Forces, trying to achieve ambitious goals that have been set. There'll be economic challenges as development assistance begins to decline in the next few years, and that will cause perhaps recessionary effects. But I think there's reasons to be hopeful that we can achieve these goals and objectives that have been established. Important is that when we talk about the end of 2014, we're not talking about the abandonment of Afghanistan by the international community. We're talking about a changed relationship, one currently where international military forces are still leading efforts in many parts of the country, to one where we've now are in a supporting relationship. But at that point in time, in 2014, we still expect for the United States, for NATO, and for many of the important countries of the world to have a changed relationship, but one in which they're providing enduring support for Afghanistan. And then, of course, we still have 3 years to go. We've made great progress over the last 10 years. We've got a pretty strong foundation established politically in terms of security, the economy of Afghanistan. So over the next 3 years, a lot more can happen.
What about the role that this Haqqani group might play that we've been hearing a lot about? They've been responsible for a number of the high-profile attacks in the capital, Kabul. How do you assess their strength and their role in what lies ahead?
Leigh, they're the most lethal group that's fighting against the government of Afghanistan and the International Security Assistance Force. Now, they enjoy sanctuary inside of Pakistan. There's clear intelligence that the Pakistani government has a relationship with the Haqqani network, or at least their military and intelligence elements do. The Pakistan military and their intelligence organizations, they deny that linkage, but it seems to us to be evident. And that there's problems in Afghanistan, of course, that go beyond the insurgency sanctuary inside of Pakistan. But still, it's going to be very hard to achieve our transitional goals unless Pakistan acts decisively against the Afghan insurgency, most especially the Haqqani network, which enjoys the sanctuary inside of their country.
Well, Hillary Clinton, the Secretary of State, was in the region on the weekend, and she was delivering exactly that message that you're delivering now. But the US has been saying for quite a while that Pakistan needs to do more to tackle terrorism inside its own borders and the links between the ISI and terrorist groups. Nothing seems to be changing. What is going to compel Pakistan to act?
I don't know the answer to that question, Leigh. You're correct. It's a problem of history. It's a problem of geography. It's a problem that's existed now for many years. And continued combined efforts, I think a combination of diplomacy and of persuasion and at times getting tough and coercion is the only prospect to see if Pakistan will change its approach towards providing sanctuary to the Afghan insurgency.
But I just wonder if you do a tough approach, whether that could be counterproductive, because Pakistan could then bristle at that.
Well, we would hope at some point that Pakistan would see it in its own self-interest not to differentiate between terrorists and try to define some terrorists and insurgents as good and others as bad. Certainly Pakistan has the will to attack terrorists that are threats to its own government. We tend to believe that it is folly to try to differentiate between terrorists. They all have to be grouped into one category. And our hope would be that at some point the Pakistan military and its intelligence agencies would see the logic of this.
Do you think that Afghanistan's current leader, Hamid Karzai, is a help or a hindrance to progress in Afghanistan?
Hamid Karzai, President Karzai, is a decent man. He wants the best for his country. He wants peace. He wants to see the material welfare of his people improved over time. And there has been progress in Afghanistan in many domains over the last 9 to 10 years, and that's been a period of time when President Karzai has been the elected leader of his people. So, of course, he deserves credit for accomplishments that have occurred. He has several more years remaining in office. My hope would be, in his remaining time in office, that he would address two issues. One, in a very serious way, steps to improve the accountability of his government. They do suffer from problems of massive corruption. Secondly, to set conditions so that in 2014, as he leaves office, and there's another presidential election, which will be critical to the future of Afghan democracy as they enter the so-called post-Karzai era, will he take steps now to address electoral reform and try to set the conditions by improvements of political institutions in the country so that Afghanistan, as they approach transition 2014, they're also well postured to approach the political post-Karzai era of 2014 with a national election.
Ambassador, thank you so much for making time to speak to us today.
Thank you, Leigh.